Good evening. Welcome to the Toronto Debating Society. Tonight is Tuesday, March 20th, 2012. Tonight's debate is a comedy debate. The resolution for tonight is the pursuit of trivia is the key to success. The first speaker this evening is the Prime Minister, Margie, who will speak to us for 7 minutes. Please welcome Margie.
The pursuit of trivia is the key to success. Hardly worth mentioning, really. I mean, I think we all really know what the answer is, but as a moment of whimsy, we'll go through and define it, even though we all know what it means, and then I'll go on to explain the excruciatingly obvious that trivia is in fact the key to success. We defined key terms: pursuit as the act of striving, trivia, unimportant things or details, key of crucial importance, and success, the attainment of wealth, position, honors, or the like. Now, as a self-professed nerd, I feel like I'm well placed to discuss the value of trivia. If you want to know about Green Lantern's lantern, or the Habsburg economic policy towards inflation, or the Articles of Confederation that preceded the US Constitution, I'm your woman. And I'm successful. Ergo, trivia equals success. I could go on so let's talk about some of the success, and I'll reach back to the definition for that. Trivia makes you famous. Of course it makes you famous. It makes more people famous than anything else does. I mean, you've got your Paris Hiltons and your Kim Kardashians, who are famous for such trivial reasons I couldn't quite figure out what they were, but there's something out there of small importance that apparently made them famous. But you don't even have to be a household word. There are a lot of really unknown famous people that you can see in the Guinness Book of World Records, for example, which is the best-selling nonfiction book ever. And what's it about? Trivia, right? So that's how famous people like Sophie Cross got to be known for her incredibly large collection of trolls. I mean, this is now a worldwide, she's known worldwide now. She's in homes everywhere. Why? Because she has a collection of trolls, and somebody thought the way to acknowledge that is put it in a best-selling book. And by God, they did. And now everyone knows her even if they don't. So, the other way to be famous is through the trivia-centered things such as Jeopardy! Jeopardy! Is a tremendously successful franchise, and in fact it featured the Watson computer. Everybody knows the Watson computer. Watson was IBM's computer that went on to Jeopardy!, beat the pants off of the other two less impressive trivia buffs. Why? Because they didn't know enough trivia to be successful. Watson did. And they had record ratings doing so. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Another little trivia thing. Who's the fourth musketeer, really? But anyway, it is the most internationally popular television franchise of all time. It airs in over 100 countries worldwide, built around trivia. And, as an extra bonus, makes you rich. Now, I did put it in the famous column, but some of these also bleed over into the rich column. We won't worry about that. It's a small and unimportant detail, but I'm just making a note about it. Now, you don't even have to be famous. You can just become rich through trivia. For example, in 1975, Gary Dahl, anybody? No? Okay. Launched the sale of the Pet Rock. All right, everybody's heard of the Pet Rock. Pet Rock famous, made him a multi-millionaire. Pet Rock, right? Hardly of earth-shattering importance. In a time when we were filled with despair of the oil crisis and the Carter administration and all sorts of stuff, we had pet rocks as our salvation. It was the trivia. More than 20 million Snuggies have been sold. It may seem like a small detail, putting sleeves on a blanket. 20 million people would say, not so fast. That's an incredibly successful item. The iPad, the iPod, the Apple, the whole smartphone thing has opened up a whole realm of apps that have made people incredibly successful. I believe the sound of pouring a fizzy drink, for example, for a low price of $1.99, and yet it's made its creator millions. Speaking of millions, Kayan has cheeseburgers. Now that's probably the most philosophical and deeply thoughtful and pedantic of the groups that I have been discussing tonight. Kayan has cheeseburgers. Because when you have a cat, stand up, Kayan has a cheeseburger. Sold for $2 million, that site, recently. Why? Because trivia makes you rich. Is anybody selling websites and economic policy for $2 million? I don't think so. So the 74-time winner of Jeopardy! Made over $3 million. So clearly, as I've demonstrated, the path to wealth and success is through trivia. And it's not just the fame and the fortune, it's the awards that people give you. Just to emphasize again the importance, Seinfeld, a show famously about nothing, about the trivia of life, was declared to be, by TV Guide, the greatest television program of all time, and won many, many, many awards. There is an award, a very prestigious award given out by Nobel Prize winners, no less, called the Ig Nobel Prizes. The Ig Nobel Prizes are given for unusual or trivial advancements of scientific research with the aim of making people first laugh and then think. And they've given away prizes for physics, for someone's rigorous analysis of soggy breakfast cereal, a study in the effects of water content on the compaction behavior of breakfast cereal flakes. And there was given one to a joint one between Bristol University and a university in the Netherlands for using magnets to levitate a frog. Interestingly, the man from the Netherlands won an actual Nobel Prize later. It's obvious. Do I need to repeat it? Success is in the trivia.
Thank you to the Prime Minister, Margie. And now for 7 minutes, the Leader of the Opposition, Brigitte, will speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How on earth can the act of striving for an important thing for details be of crucial importance to the attainment of wealth, success, position, honors in life? The government is leading you astray, ladies and gentlemen, into a life of futility, of wasteful moments. She constantly refers to about the life of the famous, details that make them famous. Why do you have to go so far? Why do you have to learn about all those trivia about famous people when they are close at hand? I have a friend. Her name is Anna Ramoni. Every Saturday, she invites her friends and close relatives to her place for dinner. Talk about the important things in life. How are the kids? How is the job going? And most important, what is the latest, spiciest gossip? Now that is real, it's not trivial. For example, last Saturday she mentioned how Aunt Jenna was seen having coffee with a man half her age. So this got everybody on their toes. They want to know what is the next of the story. We don't know what the next of the story is, because it is still yet to happen. God knows what will happen. Whereas with trivia, there you go. You ask a question. What did Jennifer Lopez wear? That was something very revealing, I think. And that was it. Everybody knows the answer to this. Whereas this has mystery. This life of futility hinders your path to the position of success at work. Yes, they make millions for people, but who? Do you know anybody personally that has made millions from trivia? You know who is paying for that? It's you poor souls who are stuck in that world of trivia, buying all those board games. There you go. That's how they make their money. Is there a better way than just crouching over a board game? Of course there is. It's just to lie down and do nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why? Because when you let your mind rest, then you can be creative. Then you can discover wonderful things, real things about yourself. For example, how at work you can strategize and learn to discover the weaknesses and the strength, the weaknesses of your opponents, and discover your own strength. And then, in the boardroom, then you can smash down the arguments of your opponent. Now that is important. How would you spend your time so uselessly just, what is it again? You talked about something about a frog? I fail to understand how this is relevant to us. We have to focus on what is relevant to us. It is detrimental to your physical well-being, watching all day, all night, being obsessed by who wants to become a millionaire. Everybody wants to become a millionaire. I want to become a millionaire. But just watching the show is not going to make me become a millionaire. How do you become a millionaire? Is by studying the important things. Going on your computer and listening and learning how the world works. What is it? Where is the next best job? That is how you get to advance in the world and to make money for yourself and for the well-being of those around you. Michelle is going to talk a little more on how this pursuit of triviality is really going to lead you into a labyrinth of never-ending answers, questions and answers, and there you go, they're just running around, even though they have found the answers to so many questions. It's never ending. There's still something else to look into. There's still something else to find out about. You are wasting your precious life in futility. When you could be out there enjoying the day, the spring, the flowers. You could be looking at shiny shoes and shiny boots. Being in the Guinness Book of Records, how is this going to help you? Personally, I don't see how. Do you? What it does is, like, you will have to buy a Guinness Book of Records to find out who is in that book. Really, it's not important to me who is in the Guinness Book of Records. What is important for me is the real thing. How to be the best in my job, family, and have to be the best athlete for those who are so inclined. Instead of watching trivia, find out who Sidney Crosby is. That is more than information. Thank you.
Thank you to the Leader of the Opposition, Brigitte. And now the government seconder, Kayan, will speak for 5 minutes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Mr. Speaker. I've just been lost in the maze of airy fairiness for 7 minutes. I'm not sure I got what the opposition was up to, but I'm going to tell you my point of view. You may have been taught that your success depends on honorable and applaudable values such as discipline, effort, hard work, but forget that horrible advice. That will get you at best to being the employee of the month at KFC. Success depends on little things in life you might not have paid attention to, such as understanding what kind of vegetable a rapini is, or finding out who posted that picture of you on Facebook with the 10 bottles of tequila. Or the way you part your hair in the morning, that might have an influence and make or break you. So first I'll tell you why the reasons why the advice given from the opposition was absolutely wrong, whatever they were. And I'll tell you why the next advice that I'll give you will bring you on the road to success, which is always under construction, like the 401. People might tell you that having great goals might help you win at lacrosse, but will not make you successful. So having great goals actually makes it impossible and insurmountable to become, it might be discouraging, such as if you want to become an Olympic athlete or become the next prime minister. Adults abandon their childhood dreams all the time. So being the Easter Bunny at the mall is maybe just as noble as a profession as being the next Wayne Gretzky. Having high hopes will make you nauseous. For instance, when Michael Bublé first picked up the microphone, getting laid was really the end goal. He ended up selling millions of albums and being very successful as a crooner, more than almost as much as Frank Sinatra. And he's accomplished his first goal along the way. Forget the hard work, the discipline, or being persistent. That will only get you through your next spring detox and drinking water. Maybe it took hard work 100 years ago when Conrad Hilton put sweat and tears into building his first hotel. But somewhere in the lineage of the great Hilton family, those beautiful values just vanish into oblivion with the arrival of Paris Hilton. Paris and her chihuahua have their own empire worth millions. She's famous for, well, Margie said it, I'm not sure what really. A little trivia about Paris Hilton. Did you know that she owns the world's only two-headed pink chihuahua? That's amazing. No, not really. Also, don't bother with being smart and making smart decisions. That will only get you a piece of paper with 3 words: graduated with honors. Remember, I told you that parting, the way you part your hair in the morning matters? Well, ask Donald Trump. Donald and his toupee are the real deal. He got the girl, got the cash, and gets to fire people on a regular basis. He might build a few buildings here and there, but that's not what got him to be the Donald. It's all in the toupee. So, if you're not convinced yet, here's why the pursuit of trivia will make you a successful superstar. Anyone who's browsed YouTube knows that some of the most popular videos on there include a video called Charlie Bit My Finger, incidentally about Charlie biting someone's finger. Highly educational videos about blending golf clubs and iPods in a blender. Guaranteed success on YouTube are cute videos of cats and babies eating lemon. Where the Hell is Matt is one of the most successful travel bloggers on the web because he made a little dance video that went like this. So these are real success stories. So since Parent Prit asked, I'm asking you, Toronto Debating Club, what do you say if we make a little dance video feeding babies lemon and blending cats? It'll go viral. Well, finally, to find success in a world where Paris Hilton and Donald Trump are queen and king of the pop, someone once said we should treat all trivial things in life very seriously and all serious things of life with a sincere and steady triviality.
Thank you to the government seconder, Kayan, and now the opposition seconder, Michelle, will speak for 5 minutes.
The gods and goddesses high up in the sky are looking down at us tonight, ladies and gentlemen, and shaking their heads and saying, Donald Trump's toupee? A two-headed pink chihuahua? That is what you are debating tonight in the Toronto Debating Society. Parting the hair, I parted mine 5 times while I sat over there. Did anybody notice? Does anybody care if I parted my hair 5 times while I was sitting there listening to a two-headed pink chihuahua discussion, which doesn't even exist? Leading into, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Speaker, the Liars Club focuses on little details in life. The Liars Club reminds me so much of Left-Handed People Are Sinister, I must tell you. But it talks about how in order to be a good liar, you must be a person who remembers the details in life. So if you want to be successful at lying, focus on the details. Who wants to be a successful liar? Aside from Donald Trump and Paris Hilton, ladies and gentlemen, the government wants to be good liars. I only have 5 minutes to refute all of these famous. The Prime Minister spoke first of all about being famous and how that's so wonderful. That's wonderful until your 15 minutes are up, and then you crash and burn. And we don't have to talk about how crashing and burning, not good. That's not a good place to be. To crash and burn, not good. That's all we have to remember, really. It's just not good. So how on earth can we even sit here and say that that details are good when it leads to the crash and the burn? It's just, Margie, you're going down. You said you're a woman. Details of your success. I don't even know how you're successful, but you're going down. I'm sorry. And you're going down by the opposition tonight. And, sorry, we have to witness this. We'll have a video recording on YouTube. It's going to be very exciting. So Rich, we talked about Rich. Oh my goodness. We did talk about soggy cereal boxes, David. Soggy wheat boxes. Yes, we did go there. Again, the money vanishes, and then what happens? You go down. So you might get used to eating at Bistro 990, which was highly successful for a long time, and then it closed. So now we're sad. The people of Toronto are sad because French food has left the city. It's gone. There's nothing in there. So that's what happens when we become rich. We go down. One question I had about the resolution, trivia being unimportant details, and then the member of the government, Madame, mentioned road construction on the 401. How is that unimportant details? Road construction on the 401 is critically important, only to people who drive, preferably if they have winter tires, but that's very, very important information if there's construction on the 401. So we will agree, the opposition will agree, that there are certain details that are important. Whether or not Paris Hilton has a dog, whether or not the dog is pink or two-headed or three-headed or an Easter bunny, that's not important. People who sit around, and this is what we do, it's distraction. We sit around on our computer, it's a boring day, we like a break, we go onto YouTube, we waste our time. That's not leading to success, that leads to distraction. And what happens with distraction, and the leader of the opposition touched upon some of these details, and I've left my notes, see how details can cause a problem? It prevents us from spending time with our families. It prevents us from pushing forward in life. And it prevents us from excelling and taking care of our physical and mental health. I have some trivia points for you. which are amusing. I'm not sure they'll lead to your success, but they're amusing. According to a study, the way your date smells matters more than looks. David, that's important to know when you argue about ringing in your ears is caused by your brain attempting to expand itself and failing. Blue whales have a large enough aorta, which is the main blood vessel, for those of you not detail-oriented, for a human to crawl through. So if ever you're in the water and you get swallowed up by a blue whale, look for the aorta and swim through. So I will grant you that that one particular piece of trivia might be important, but what animal was paraded through the streets of Paris on Mardi Gras to remind people not to eat meat during Lent? An ox. That's not important, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously, we have to look at the big picture and look to the gods above. Look to Zeus and Athena and Aphrodite, who are staring down at us and who are asking you to follow the angels of vision and big picture and the present and the future and vote for the opposition. Strike down this detailed, gobsmacking debate that the government is forcing us to sit through, because really there are much, much better things in life that we can be discussing right now. Vote against the opposition. The resolution.
Details.
That's important. It wasn't trivial.
Thank you to the opposition seconder, Michelle. And now for the summations, 2 minutes each. First we'll hear from the opposition, Brigitte.
My esteemed colleague here, in her past life, as the trivia pursuer par excellence, and a nerd on top of that, was once the owner of a fancy laptop with 4 gigabytes of RAM memory and a whole terabyte of storage capacity. She spent countless hours saving and digging all those answers to those trivial questions. And one day, instead of a smiley face, which usually flashes when she scores the right answer, a face came up and asked her, why? Why do you have to go after those trivialities and waste your life? My 4 gigs of RAM have overheated from too much processing, and now my 1 terabyte of hard drive memory has collapsed from information overload. That's what trivia does to you. If you have a question, why don't you just Google it instead of pursuing all these trivialities? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a forewarning to those addicted to, you know what, the pursuit of trivia. Because it is not the key to success, but the road to perdition and self-destruction. The devil is running amok in the details, enticing you to become famous, this elusive path. What it will lead you is 6 feet under.
Thank you for that lively summation from the opposition. And now the final summation from the government side. 2 minutes, Margie.
Oh, you know, I wouldn't mention gods and goddesses and triviality. Wasn't that what they were all about? As somebody once said, like private parts of the gods are we, they play with us for their own sport.
Ooh.
Who said that?
It's a Blackadder quote.
Actually trivial.
Ask me more Blackadder questions. I know them all. Why? Because I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd, so I get the, hey, we haven't discovered the Higgs boson yet, but we know it's 125 GeV. I see. I would have been more successful in my trivial joke, but since you didn't know that, the success was not met. But that's okay. Sure, maybe fame is fleeting and money vanishes, but what fun striving for it along the way. After all, if she wins, it'll be the very trivia that she mentioned that entertained us so. And those little stories were probably the best part of the whole argument. I mean, either the opposition's argument was trivial, therefore we won, or the opposition's argument was not trivial, in which case we still won because we just told you that the secret to success is the pursuit of trivia. So I'll just wrap it up here by supporting the opposition when she says, vote against the opposition. She knows from whence she speaks. Thank you.
Thank you for excellent argument from both sides. If we could ask Dean, the adjudicator, to read out his results now.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Now, the humorous comedy debate is a challenge in itself. A regular debate is challenging to start with, but to add humor to it, in the midst of doing a debate can be a challenge for all people. And this evening's topic was itself difficult, I think. The pursuit of trivia is the key to success. And I tried a different way of sort of tracking the content of it and the arguments as well as the humor. And as far as, and discussing it with my co-adjudicator on the side, this was more a humorous comedy debate than it was a debate. As far as arguments go, there were arguments thrown out, there was content, but I think as far as debating actual topic as defined was, let's just say, not up to par to the actual debating society regular way of doing things. And I'll explain why, and I'll try to do it in a constructive way as far as detailing content and throwing the humor in. So the definition was given as active striving was pursuit. Unimportant things or details is of crucial importance to the attainment of wealth, position, honors, and the like. And so what's interesting of that is that it's key. So in other words, the pursuit of trivia itself is key or important. So the unimportant stuff is important to success. So that was sort of getting those two opposing ideas out. Margie, as the Prime Minister, started out giving the definition and then sort of saying, I know lots of trivia and I'm successful, so there we go. That's point number, that's my one argument. So, I mean, good humor, and the audience laughed at that. The fact that you're a self-professed nerd, that you can talk about Green Lantern and other quote-unquote nerdy trivial things was brought out as well. And then talking about Sophie Cross and her trolls, talking about Paris Hilton and the fact that they're successful now, and my God, we don't even know what they were talking about, but whatever it was trivial and it made them successful. So that sort of started out the idea. And the idea of Watson and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and the like. And finally the Ig Nobel Prizes. So there's sort of 1.5 arguments brought out with content. Basically that here are some successful people and their trivial aspects of their lives that have made them successful. And here's successful in the way of Jeopardy and trivial programs and pet rocks and the like from the 1970s. So these are examples as well of success that have come about in the last 30, 40 years. And I guess the idea is, for me, was sort of wondering, okay, well, the pursuit of how can we, in our everyday lives, how can we as an individual do what we can do to pursue trivia and become successful? And the aspects of YouTube were brought up, and we've seen that. So people are 57 million hits for cats juggling yarn or something like that. And so that was sort of brought up. But whether or not that's the pursuit of, so are you a person who's constantly running around with your camera filming your cats, or watching the kid and feeding him lemons, or doing the like and whatever else? And I think that's one of the things that didn't totally come out for me was sort of, how can you in your everyday life pursue trivia and be successful? I remember as a young person going to the pubs in university, they had trivia stuff there. You could play this and you could win prizes and be fantastic and get nachos or whatever it was at the pub. And you can be successful by pursuing trivia and looking brilliant to your people around you. But the argument that I sort of didn't hear from the opposition was, well, that's great in the short term. It did come out. But again, big deal. What's success? What is success? It says attainment of wealth, position, and honors. But in whose eyes? In the world's eyes? In your buddy's eyes? In your college's eyes? In your bar's eyes? Who knows what? So the arguments that were there, they were sort of brought up. The opposition leader sort of talked about personal aspects, and that was it. It was sort of very restricted to personal examples that I saw. The one point I will say for the opposition, an interesting quote, doing nothing is better, letting one's mind rest leads to creativity and productivity. So in other words, don't run after the trivial things. Just sit and relax. You become more creative, more productive, more a better citizen, a better world citizen in life. And that who wants to be a millionaire? You watch it, you don't become a millionaire. You become a millionaire by doing stuff, by becoming successful. The Donald Trumps didn't actually do it because of their hair and being trivial. He did it because he did build hotels, because he did this, business deals and the like. The government leader did talk an interesting little thing about Conrad Hilton. I think that was great. That was a good contrast. There's Conrad Hilton, hotel magnate from years and years and years ago. He's successful doing this. Meanwhile, his daughter, Paris, does nothing. And lo and behold, she's a success. She's got little chihuahuas in her bag, and pink chihuahuas, two-headed pink chihuahuas at that. And that is success, and it's trivial. So reinforcing the point. So I think that was it. But again, I think, and an interesting argument that was brought up also by the seconder for the opposition, well, I parted my hair dozens of times. Nobody noticed me. Like Donald Trump, well, big deal. You know, he's successful. Why wasn't I successful? Which was actually interesting because that was trivial, ironically, which didn't help your argument. It helped theirs, but it was funny nonetheless. So, again, the content was sort of there, it was lacking. The funniness was good. I think that the points that were brought up, there was funny, there was laughter. And my co-adjudicator and he was sort of tracking the laughter. And sort of, okay, well, what was funny? All right, that was funny, that was funny, that was good, good. As opposed to so much the content. And I think that's, I mean, if you look specifically at that for humor, sort of backed up by content, as opposed to content that was humorous, I think that's what happened more in this debate, was that there was some funny stuff with a little bit of content backing it up argument-wise and content-wise. The wind-up, that was, I mean, the Prime Minister's wind-up, I think, was sort of the best, the funny little bit. Was striving is the purpose. The government was talking about trivial stuff, and that made our argument actually what it was. And of course, the poor opposition quoting, vote against the opposition. Oops, the resolution. I meant, sorry, I didn't mean that. And the government picked up on that. It sort of didn't help, but nonetheless, it does. It didn't need help.
That was an important detail.
It wasn't important. It was not trivial. And the points brought up. Anyway, the point is, overall, debate was funny, not fantastic from a debate perspective. And from my perspective, the government won, and the score was 37 to the opposition's 28. That speaker was actually Michelle. Hubris, yes. But that's right. Government side. Please come on. Congratulations.
Could we have the results of the popular vote, please?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the vote was 15 in favor of the government and 3 for the opposition.
The results are very clear. Once again, trivia is the key to success. The government, the big winners tonight.